What is up, you guys? Back again with another video, just pointing at the ceiling. And thank you guys so much for all the likes and views and shares and the comments. I tried to read every single comment that you left me on my last video about why God has to separate you from your family sometimes, and they were really beautiful and encouraging and preaching to the choir, basically, because that's the same message that I also need. But yeah, thanks to all the new subscribers. But I just wanted to talk in this video about how to deal with narcissistic people who are bullies, energy vampires, all that kind of stuff, because y'all said that, you guys are kind of dealing with that, and how to deal with them if they live in the same household as you, or they're like at work or school or whatever. You gotta remember that you're on a journey, and in the journey, it's like walking down the street. If you're walking down the street, sometimes you may trip over something, someone may have left something in the road or whatever, but you can't say, oh, I'm gonna just turn back around because of me tripping on a log or whatever, or a rock or whatever, right? So these people in your journey are part of the testimony. Remember what Joseph said in the Bible: what you meant for evil, God turned it around for my good. So whether it's your mom, your dad, your boss at work, whatever, your coworkers, whoever it is, your friends, it hurts when they act up and do all this kind of stuff. But honestly, their actions, unless you did something to them, like you actually did something to them, but if you were just born into a family of narcissists, a family of haters, whatever the case may be, basically like Joseph, you have to realize that it's their own insecurity. And I always use the story of Joseph because it's just so obvious and everyone can kind of relate, like, because he had dreams. First of all, he was the youngest, other than Benjamin, of all his brothers, right? His 12 brothers, 11 brothers. And then on top of that, he was the dad's favorite because his mom was barren. And so he gave him the coat of colors. But even when you look at King David, right, he was not the favorite. He was overlooked. When the prophet Samuel came to David's house, to Jesse's house, his dad Jesse's house, to say, oh, the next king of Israel is here, let me see your sons, he didn't even bring David out. They didn't even call David. They showed all the other brothers because they were tall and handsome and older. But David was the youngest, and he was tending the sheep. So, like, God sees you even when you're off there by yourself. You may be chilling in your room all the time, just saying, oh man, I can't even deal with my family. I'm gonna just chill in my room. I'm gonna just go to the library. I'm gonna just go to after school program. I'm gonna just go to the gym so I don't wild out, because you don't want to wild out. You're just like, man, I don't even want that negativity. I'm gonna just go in my room, watch documentaries, whatever, and just be by myself. But guess what? God sees all that. God sees all that, and your day is coming where God himself is gonna call you out of the crowd, right? The day is coming when you're gonna be the person who's picked, and God is gonna elevate you, and it's gonna seem like everyone is gonna be like, him, not us, not the ones with the PhDs. And this is no shade towards people with PhDs, but a lot of people who get higher education think that they're better than everyone else and think that they're smarter than everyone else. And I've had very, very extremely personal experiences with people like that who I knew in real life that had high degrees and thought that they were better than me, which they weren't. But and I'm not better than them, but they're not better than me. But anyways, yeah, like the people who are more qualified, the one who's traveled all over the world, is gonna be, well, like, oh, you never even left your hometown. How could God pick you? Oh, you never had a boyfriend. I had this big lavish wedding. She never had a boyfriend. How is God gonna pick her? Like, or in the movies, right? In those movies, in those girl movies, the like the teen drama movies, where the girl who's the nerdy, ugly one, whatever, she gets picked by the hottest guy in school, and then the Regina George, the pretty girl, the Barbie's like, oh, why'd you pick her? But guess what? You may not be Queen Vashti, who has all the gold and jewels and whatever, but you're Queen Esther. God sees the Queen Esther that's in you. You may be over there in the corner thinking, oh, I'm not even that attractive. I'm not like these baddies on Instagram. But guess what? The king is going to fall in love with your character. And he's going to see, you may even be beautiful, but you don't even realize it. Because sometimes you're very extremely beautiful, but God sometimes will just hide you. Like, it's weird. Like, God will literally hide you just so that the king will pick you. So that all these other dusty boys don't even come nowhere near, because you don't even realize that God is telling them, get away from my daughter. Stay away from her. Don't go nowhere near her. And you're thinking, man, I be talking to guys and, things don't be working out. What's going on? It's because God is saying, get away from her. You dusty. And the king, it's literally the king. When you get to you man, you may go on vacation with your friends, or you may go on vacation by yourself, and a guy who's a billionaire meets you, and it's like, oh, like there's just something about you I don't even know. And then later on, you find out this dude is a billionaire. I'm not saying that that's automatically gonna happen, but I'm saying that like God works in the weirdest ways. So if you're the person who's like, I'm surrounded by people who just hate on me, keep doing what you're doing. In regards to, if you're always drawing, if you're singing, if you're working on, oh, I'm studying and my parents don't support the degree I want or whatever, keep your hand to the plow, because God is going to help you. God is the one who's going to give you the scholarship. God is the one who's going to give you the job opportunity. God is the one who's going to give you the friends. God is the one who's going to tell that person out of nowhere to send you an email. And you're going to be like, how did this person even find me? God is the one who's going to help you move. It's God. It's literally God. And I think it's in Psalms where it says God places the orphans in families. You may not be an orphan physically. Your parents may be well and alive, but you may be basically spiritually orphaned. But the Bible says when my father and mother abandon me, the Lord will take care of me. That's Psalms 28, right? And is it Psalms 28? Yeah, it's Psalms 28. But either Psalm 27 or Psalm 28. But let me tell you, like, it's lonely, but just pray. Like, God, there's you know that verse that says there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. That's Jesus. And God is taking you through that. We often quote, oh, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Sometimes it's, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of loneliness. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of having no friends. Though I walk through the valley of I've been single for 27 years. Come on, somebody, because I have never had a boyfriend. But though I walk through the valley of the shadow of everybody got an education except me. I walk through the valley of the shadow of, oh, I can't find a job and it's been 3 years. Oh, I walk through the valley of the shadow of, oh, my son is on drugs and I've been praying for it. I walk through the valley of the shadow of, oh, my brother's in the hospital. Whatever it is. But I fear no evil. I don't fear rejection because God is with me. I don't fear the loneliness because God is with me. You gotta read the Bible, and some people hate when you say this, but you have to really put yourself in it. You really have to put yourself in it. Like David was going through it, right? But like he didn't just say, oh well, we have the books of Moses and we have this. He wrote to God and he poured his heart out to God. You gotta pour your heart out to God, and just the alone time actually is gonna build your character. Like, those people who are always outside, those people who are always surrounded by a group of friends, but like they don't have no character, they don't have no substance. It's because they don't even know how to be alone. Like those people who are like, oh well, I had 5 boyfriends and then I got married for 20 years and now I'm single at 45 for the first time in my life since I was like 12, and I don't even know who I am. Because their whole life, they never had time to think. Those people who watch the news 24/7? They can quote every quote from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Breitbart, whatever, but they don't have their own thoughts. When you ask them, well, what do you actually think? Well, I don't know, man. I just saw it on CNN. I just saw it on Fox. I just saw it, blah, blah. Like, they don't have alone time. So the people who are with God, they often have the strongest character. You know what it took Daniel in the Bible to be thrown into a lion's den? You know what I'm saying? And say, I'm gonna be with God. He went through him, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Everybody in the Bible had alone periods of time where they were just going through it, really. You know what I'm saying? And like, that was the character development. When you read a book or you watch a movie and you see the character arc, that's exactly what God is doing in your life, my life, everyone's life who really follows him. Because people who don't really follow God, they're never gonna get it like we get it. And the thing about it is, even Jesus said that the road is narrow because following Jesus is hard. Too many people, they try and they're like, I can't do this. What do you mean? Oh, I started following God and my family just lost it. No, I want my family's approval. I don't want Jesus no more. There's so many people who are like that, who are caught up in their community. And those people, unfortunately, can never truly follow God because they're like, well, where I come from, even Christians who basically, there's a lot of people who are Christians and they're in the clout bubble, in the sense of, you may be a Christian who's in, let's say, a denomination that is not biblical at all, right? That the practices are just nowhere in the Bible at all, but people say this is our tradition. Even if you presented them with actual facts and evidence and proof that they were wrong, they don't care. Because when they go to their church, they see people they grew up with. They see everybody who they know, and they feel like, well, I don't want to lose these people, because if I say, well, I'm not this anymore, If I'm not a Baptist anymore, if I'm not a Catholic anymore, if I'm not a Mormon anymore, if I'm not this anymore, if I'm not that no more, if I'm not a Jehovah's Witness no more, I lose my whole community. And that happens in other religions too. Because following Jesus, the road is narrow because it's him and you. You're right behind him. And it's you and him on that road. Period. Most of the time you're gonna look to the left and look to the right. The road is just for there's only 4 feet on the road, which is 2 feet of Jesus and 2 feet of you walking behind him as he leads you. So it's very difficult. But literally, I think of the end result. I think of how Jesus talked about how like whoever overcomes, he's gonna give him a crown of glory or something like that in Revelation, right? Something like that, to that effect. But to overcome, you have to go through it. To get to the resurrection, you have to go to Calvary. You have to carry your cross to Calvary. So a lot of people have to lose their families in a sense, not necessarily like abandon them, but you have to lose your families. You have to lose everything. And to deal with narcissists, you have to realize that you are separate from their emotions. You have nothing to do. Oftentimes, narcissists are mad about things that didn't happen in their own lives because of their own problems, right? Their own faults. Maybe they were too scared to do things or whatever. Like, let's say I want to be a professional artist. I studied animation, right? I didn't graduate, but I studied animation. If I never apply for art jobs, never get an art job, and then I sit there and I say, well, oh, I have a kid, and I'm like, oh, it's my son's fault, because no, I don't have no kids right now. I'm 27. Let's say I have a kid at 32. So from 27 to 32, I never apply for no art jobs. I never do nothing. And then I'm like, oh, it's my kid's fault that I never got an art job. But what does that have to do with him or her? What does it have to do with them? Nothing at all. Period. It's me. So a lot of people can't face the fact that it's them and they're mad about those things. So don't even let them get you because ask yourself, what did I actually do to this person? Did I fight them? No. Did I steal from them? No. Did I cuss them out yesterday? No. So if the check mark goes on and this person is just hating me for no reason, it has nothing to do with me. So you gotta realize, all right, well, by this time next year, God is gonna bring me to a new place. You're like, oh, I'm saving money to move out. God, please help me move out of my house. Then you're like, well, by this time next year, by June, what month is this? May next year, I'm gonna be sitting in wherever you're gonna move to. Let's say you're moving to Paris, right? That's just an example. You're like, by this time next year, I'm gonna be in Paris eating baguettes or whatever, and my family's gonna be 4,000 miles away, and I don't have to pick up the phone if they call, basically. Like, I'm gonna be out of it. You know what I mean? So you gotta just kind of endure or find your own refuge place. Like, if you gotta go to a library or the bookstore or whatever when they're around, or whatever the case may be, or go study with your friends if you're in high school and you can't really like just be out like that, find people that you could trust and go study with them and all that. You have to do that, and you have to have peace of mind and let Jesus be your peace. All right, guys, I hope that you like this video. I hope it helps. Let me know what else you want me to talk about in regards to this kind of stuff. And I like these pointing at the ceiling videos because it's less pressure than like being on camera. All right, so thanks, guys. Bye-bye.